chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming.
Game 3 now taking place on MLG dual site between Murder and Hannibal. Murder will be the purple Terran once again. Hannibal, the red Terran.
Yeah, no varying positions on this one, just two starting locations, one in the jungly area, one in the volcanic area. So we'll see who is positioned on which side. And again, as you mentioned, we're going to have vVv Murder spawning as the purple Terran, and then Hannibal spawning as the red. A little bit of lag on the part of Hannibal here. Obviously, playing from Korea, lag is an issue. Hopefully not too much for these players. I think so far both Koreans have showed very strong games.
Yeah, right now I would have to tip my hand a little bit just to Hannibal right now at this stage in the game, because the map is dual site. Dual site is a map that a lot of the American players and the North American players simply don't have that much practice on. I do believe Hannibal was part of the GSTL, and I believe they used a similar map pool as GSL. So I believe he just has much more familiarity with this map, and he may be able to exploit that advantage for him.
Yeah, so as a Terran player, what sort of, I guess, strategies might we see here? Obviously, you can open up with some sort of harassment, Hellions, or Banshee play, and then maybe late game into Marine tank. But with this sort of natural being pretty wide open, perhaps a third being difficult to defend, also being wide open, what do you see taking place here?
I'm just going to foresee a lot of a little bit of one base play for a while, perhaps expansions being set up around the 8 to 10 minute mark, maybe 7 if their timings are absolutely perfect, and then both players running off of 2 bases until around the 12 to 15 minute mark. It's really difficult to try to out-expand a Terran player, especially on a map like this. The third base is very, very exposed. Even your natural is very exposed. When you take a look, there is brush here or line of sight blockers here, and then another very wide open choke point here. So you just have to be very, very wary of what your opponent can and will go for. As we can see that we do already have the gas up running down over here. Meanwhile, we do not have any gas coming in from Murder. So Murder looking to perhaps fast expand and go mass Marines here on dual site.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Murder has really come with some varying strategies, some risky strategies, as I mentioned, and that's something you're going to need to do. So we might see like a 1-Rax expand out of him with some heavy Marine play at the start. Obviously, he's going to have to withstand whatever sort of harassment Hannibal goes for. Hannibal, known early on in StarCraft 2 as a little bit of a cheesy player. Terran versus Terran, obviously harassment is definitely a huge part of that, so you can't really call it cheese, but I'm sure he is well practiced with all the different harassment builds, so we'll see how Murder's going to be able to handle that, as he has yet to tip his hand, banking a lot of resources though, so we may see that command center in just a moment from Murder.
All right, I just noticed this. I believe that the refinery was actually an 11 refinery instead of a 13, so that's the reason why we have the faster factory. The factory was actually started before the orbital command, and we may be getting up another geyser at some point, and we do need to see a supply depot. I believe a supply depot is being built down over here, so we will not see a supply lock. Meanwhile, we already have Murder expanding and setting up a bunker at the natural expansion as well, so Murder trying to get a very strong economic lead. Both players sitting on 18 to 17 harvesters.
Yeah, once again going for a very strong economic game, and we have the first 2 Hellions about a quarter of the way done for Hannibal, and Murder has just now established a wall off very smart at the top of his ramp, so we will be able to defend against the Hellions here. I imagine he will not have too many SCVs on the low ground, and we'll see how many Hellions Hannibal does go for here.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem. I believe that what Murder will need to be able to set up perhaps an engineering bay at the north side of this Vespian geyser here. Otherwise, the Hellions are going to be able to just simply drive by. We are going into that starport that I mentioned, or I thought of it. I don't know if I mentioned it. So we may have a bit of a drop play as well. And there is a lot of land to cover here on the high ground. You can see there's a little bit of a dark area right over here to the southwest of this barracks. You can land those Hellions and then run them straight into the mineral line, get damage that way. And because Murder is going for mass Marines, he doesn't have a tech lab up yet, and those Marines are not going to be really able to counter those Hellions as much as he wants to. But now we already see Hannibal trying to push forward and not going to be able to do very much at all.
And a barracks floating over here from Hannibal, so we're just going to have sight on the high ground. So Murder is not going to be able to take on these Hellions with the Marines here because the barracks is giving them high ground sight. Usually those Marines would be able to shoot down and take out those Hellions, but very smart play from Hannibal here, and I'm not sure that Murder is going to be able to handle this yet.
Yeah, there's also an SCV in this group as well, so the SCV is also auto-repairing some of those Hellions and perhaps even the barracks. Anytime a Marine pops out, it is just going to get destroyed. So Murder having to change all of the rally locations as all of this splash damage. I know this is rather silly. It's like in StarCraft or Brood War when you try to use vultures to take down buildings, you leave them there long enough and they can actually do it. Supply locking Murder at 40/38.
And now Murder trying to take on these Hellions, but again, just not able to get many shots off on them before that SCV is able to get the repair. And as you mentioned, he is supply blocked, and we've got Cloak Banshees on the way for Hannibal. So as you mentioned, adding that second gas and getting up Cloak now, the very gas-cheap Hellions, and now Murder trying to get a flank here with Marines and SCVs, going to try to do some damage to these Hellions. Really needs to focus down that SCV so it can no longer repair. He might get it. No, he's not going to be able to. And now trying to focus down this barracks so that there's no more high ground sight, but these Hellions just so very strong against these Marines, retreating back to that bunker, and the barracks not yet burning for Hannibal. And we do see that the barracks is burning for Murder, so pretty soon these Hellions are going to be able to make their way into the main of Murder.
Yeah, so the Hellions just dancing back and forth, also using that line of sight blocker very, very well. The barracks not only giving up sight to the high ground, but on the other side of that gas as well, and that's the reason why that these Hellions are dealing so much damage as they are. I'm waiting for that Banshee. I know a Banshee has engaged into the field, and the Cloak research about to be completed, but that was a lot of damage dealt, at least a lot of micro to be had, as we also now have a hidden expansion coming in from Hannibal on the bottom right-hand side of the map.
Yeah, both players working on their third command center. So Hannibal being the aggressor here, and Murder just trying to absorb. He did take a little bit of damage there. Quite a few units went down for him. If you check the units lost habit is 800 to 450. So now Murder going to be pushing out here and going to be aggressive. He's going to try to take on these Hellions. Hellions getting one shot off there, but very low. And if you check the unit counting station of Hannibal, he's just got 4 Hellions and 2 Banshees on the field, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hold this if Murder does decide to push out here without some great micro on those Hellions.
Yeah, Hannibal already moving his way in with one of those Banshees. Now Marines are now trying to fight back, and I believe a second Banshee is already lined up prime at the 12 o'clock location, and he may be trying to suicide his way in as well, as the Banshee perhaps just fighting back, trying to use that range of 6, and now getting off a Cloak just in time, and now just going to continue to dance back and forth, and perhaps getting some damage onto the SCV, trying to build that engineering bay. No missile turrets, no detection, and this is going to be a bit of an issue as one Banshee is finally taken down, but in comes the second Banshee from the north.
Yeah, would really like to see that second Banshee push in here at the same time as the first one, as now that Banshee does Cloak a little bit early here, is going to be able to get a few SCV kills. If you check their Harvester count, it is 37 to 35 at this point, so this Banshee really needs to do some damage, as Murder's economy still pretty decent compared to Hannibal's. We're going to get a scan here, hopefully from Murder. It looks like he's not going to choose to scan. I'm not sure if he has enough energy. There's the scan. Going to try to take on that Banshee, but Hannibal doing a nice job positioning that Banshee away from those Marines. Now going to be coming into the main here, and that Banshee has 6 kills, and I imagine it's going to rack up a few more here.
Yeah, just going to do a great job. You can see that Hannibal saw the missile turret going down at the natural expansion and says, you know what, I don't need to stick around here. I can go to a new location and pretty much try to put pressure back in your main base. The Banshee is now down to 11 energy, though, so it's not going to matter. There is one missile turret, and the missile turret able to finish it off, and enough damage was dealt, and now you see Murder swapping the starport with the reactor. We'll be able to start double training Medivacs and Vikings.
Yeah, the third base is up for Hannibal, though, and it is on the gold, so he's going to be able to drop 3 mules on that gold. His economy is going to be very good, up to 1,800 minerals per minute compared to the 1,300 of Murder. Murder lost 12 SCVs in all that harassment there, so not too many, though. He is a little bit behind economy-wise for Hannibal. He's moving out, trying to establish his own third. That's going to be on a regular base and not a gold, though, and I'm not sure he knows about the gold for Hannibal, so Hannibal's going to have the advantage economically here, now pushing out with a ton of Hellions.
Yeah, so a ton of Hellions making their way across the map. 98 food compared to 88. And no one is near. So actually, no, Murder currently supply blocked at 88 over 89. These Hellions they do have the blue flame research, so they are going to be able to simply torch through those Marines rather quickly. The Marines do not have that combat shield, and at least they do not have it yet. And that is going to be critical, as those Hellions will be able to two-shot a Marine, or two-shot a Marine with combat shield if they try to Stimpak. There are two Banshees hiding off to the north, and they're going to be able to spot these two medevacs. So that's a little bit of a funny play there, as perhaps those medevacs are going to just simply fly by, and now he knows that the drop will be coming, and we'll see how Hanibal decides to react to it.
Yeah, Hanibal pulling back with these Hellions, so he's going to be prepared, and it's going to be a rude surprise for Murder. We'll see whether he's microing these dropships, though, or whether he allows them to drop in. The medevacs making their way over into the main of Hanibal, and the Hellions there ready to take on all comers, and now dropping into the blue flame, and Murder sees so many Hellions, as there are currently 20 Hellions on the field for Hanibal.
Yeah, Marines and Marauders now finally making a move out, able to take a little bit of map control. There is a barracks up in the air there, and it looks like that barracks will get taken down. I do not believe the Hellions may try to do a drive-by in just a moment. There are 22 Hellions in this group, and 22 Hellions against so many Marines. The Hellions do need to move a little bit forward in order to finish off those Marines there. The Marines finally do have that combat shield, so it does take 3 shots to kill them, and that definitely helps, as now we see Mules called down, and there's the GG by Murder.
Yeah, those Hellions just roasting Murder's Marines, and the reign of Murder going to come to an end there. It is going to be 2-1 vVv, and I think things are in order in the Prime Clan house now, as Hanibal taking down Murder, and I imagine he's going to want to go on a bit of a run himself, trying to do some more damage to vVv.
Yeah, so stay tuned for Game 4. It is going to be a pivotal Game 4 to see whether or not vV Gaming can take a 3-1 lead, or if Prime can even up the series at 2 games apiece.